My friends, instead of starting with news today, we're going to start with wisdom. This is Howard Real. The show is called Real Truth. Welcome to a brand new week. Lots in store for you. But before we hit the news, let me hit you with two things that you absolutely have to know. Number one, we talk a lot about liberals and Democrats. And I've said many, many times that this is the mob. You know, the unruly mob that advancing on Frankenstein's castle in the middle of the night with the torches held over their heads and the pitchforks. That's the left. That's liberals. As a matter of fact, I wasn't planning on sharing this, but this past Shabbos when I was in shul, I was talking to a liberal. She is an uber liberal. She's a friend of mine, but she is so liberal. And we were talking about some of the things that the rabbi had been speaking about. He gives a class on the Bible. And he mixes in addition to what's written in the Bible, he mixes in these stories that have accumulated over the centuries. And I said to my friend, the liberal, I said, you realize these stories are not literal truth. They're just embellishments. They're meant to drive home points and underscore values and that kind of thing. And she says, well, I don't want to hear that from you. I enjoy believing that they're nice stories. They make me feel good. I don't care if they're true or not. And I thought to myself, bingo, that's a liberal. They don't care about the truth. They don't care about facts. They don't care about whether or not something actually happened. If it makes them feel better, that's all there is to it. That's all they want out of life. And that's the mob. Here's a quote from Ann Coulter's book, Demonic. Okay, the subhead, How the Liberal Mob is Endangering America. If you haven't read this book yet, first, I would buy my book, Real Truth, Stay Angry. Go to virtualbookworm.com and read that. Then I would read Ann Coulter's book, Demonic, How the Liberal Mob is Endangering America. Here's what she says in the book. It's just one paragraph. She writes, quote, the demon is a mob, and the mob is demonic. The Democratic Party activates mobs, depends on mobs, coddles mobs, publicizes and celebrates mobs. It is the mob. Sweeping in its scope and relentless in its argument, Demonic explains the peculiarities of liberals as standard groupthink behavior. To understand mobs is to understand liberals, unquote. Absolutely correct. Absolutely right. And that's why you have Antifa. And that's why you have college professors telling students at a rally to go after the guy taking photographs. That's why you got liberals calling everyone in the universe a racist. That's why after 3 years of fine-tooth comb investigation, whether or not Trump colluded with the Russians, they found absolutely no collusion, but the left still says he colluded. That's the mob. It's groupthink. It's mobthink. It's emotion and not intellect. That's the mob. That's the left. Now, if it turns your stomach as much as it does mine, why would you ever for a moment consider voting for a Democrat ever again for any office? The second thing I want to lay on you here in the opening of the show is called the Cloward Piven strategy. Now, I heard Mark Levin talking about this last week, and after I did, I went online and I looked it up, and you absolutely have got to know this. If you don't know what the Cloward Piven strategy is, you must. Go to Wikipedia. Here's what the first paragraph says at Wikipedia, okay? I'm quoting. The Cloward Piven strategy is a political strategy outlined in 1966 by American sociologists and political activists Richard Cloward and Francis Fox Piven. It calls for overloading the U.S. public welfare system in order to precipitate a crisis that would lead to a replacement of the welfare system with a socialist system of a guaranteed annual income and thus an end to poverty, unquote. This is what Barack Obama did for 8 years nonstop. Overload the system. Every system. Every government system we had, he pushed 800 pounds of lard into the line to gum it up, to slow it down, to break it down. It's like the Luddites of over a century ago throwing tools into the gears to stop the machines. The liberals, the Democrats, they want to overload the system, and they have been overloading the system to the point where it just about doesn't work anymore. Welfare is one example, but there are many. Healthcare is another. The Cloward-Piven strategy is a strategy, an anarchist strategy for taking down this country and replacing it with something alien and destructive. Look it up yourself. Get online. Go to Wikipedia or just type in Cloward-Piven strategy. C-L-O-W-A-R-D. Cloward-Piven, P-I-V-E-N strategy. Look it up. Read about it. And once you've learned about it, share it with people, because this is what the Democrats want to do. It's what the Democrats have traditionally done. It's their way of taking America down. It's what the globalists want. This is the number one strategy of the enemies of America. The Cloward-Piven strategy. Research it. Share it. Teach your kids about it. Talk to your friends about it. Item from the Washington Examiner. In a shocking demonstration of the latest surge of illegal immigrants border officials are struggling with, over 1% of the populations of Guatemala and Honduras have entered the United States since September, according to Homeland Security's chief. Worse, 3% of the population of one Guatemalan county has crossed into the U.S., according to Acting Homeland Security Secretary Kevin McAleen. He told this to the 49th Washington Conference of the Americas a couple of nights ago. 1% of the populations of Guatemala and Honduras have come here since September. That's frightening. It's horrifying, and it goes back to the Cloward-Piven strategy. Stock this country with so many illegals. Let them vote, and America's dead. The Cloward-Piven strategy is a key to understanding so much of what's happening in this country, and so much of the way the people who despise America are trying to destroy it. We need to stop people from coming over the border. I don't care how at this point. They need to be stopped, even if it's with bullets. They must be stopped. Because if they don't, there won't be any America left. It's that simple. It's become an existential threat. Well, it always has been. And it's growing worse and worse. And the Cloward-Piven group, the Democrats in Congress, won't do a thing to help. In fact, they'll do everything to stop it, to gum it up, to gum up the works. We're off to a rousing start. It's Monday. It's Real Truth. We'll be right back.
Before hiring a realtor from a big corporation who outsources their jobs and pays little to no taxes, ask yourself, what do you really want in a realtor? You need a realtor who's honest and has integrity. A realtor who's focused on the client's bottom line, not the realtor's bottom line. Who provides personal, over-the-top service before, during, and after the transaction. You want a realtor that knows how to market your property. Hi, I'm James Morgan, a realtor with Grisham & Associates LLC. I am your Colorado real estate specialist. Land deals, mountain cabins, and urban dwellings, I've got you covered. For the first-time home buyer, we will make it the best experience. If you are looking to move up or downsizing, we will do better than your last transaction. Call me today at 720-203-0731 or visit coloradoproperties.online. Let me do a great job for you.
All right, guys, we are back. Howard Real, Real Truth. Rush Limbaugh was on Fox and Friends just a few days ago talking about this whole citizenship question. You know, it bugs the hell out of me that the people in Congress, the people in the courts, are dead set against anything that will help America. They want the country flooded with illegals, and they're doing everything in their power to make it so, to the point where we're not even allowed to ask a question on our census that was on it for 150 years. The question didn't come off until 2010 when a guy named Barack Hussein Obama took it off. Now they're saying it's illegal, it's immoral, it's unconstitutional. Well, that's crap. Rush Limbaugh, Fox and Friends this past week, weighs in. Go.
All right, as you can see right here, we are joined by the king of radio. Rush Limbaugh joins us from his southern command post down in Palm Beach, Florida. Rush, good morning to you.
Good morning.
How's everybody? Great to be with you guys. It's really an honor, really a privilege, really a pleasure. Could not go to sleep last night. So excited to be here today. And now the time has arrived.
It has indeed. Rush, we're going to talk about your Betsy Ross T-shirt. That is, it's shocking the number of people. There it is, right there. That's
Right there it is.
We're going to talk about that in a couple of minutes. But first, what did you make of the president yesterday? Seeing the writing on the wall, it would be a protracted legal fight. They're already printing up the census. He decided to essentially ask all the government agencies to send all the data about citizens and non-citizens to the Commerce Department, and they will try to figure out how many citizens we have in the country.
I think everybody's looking at this in the wrong way. It's a testament, too, by the way, to the power of people who write the narrative every day. I call it the Washington soap opera, and I firmly believe it's the media that's running the Democrat Party today, not the other way around. The real controversy here is who took the citizenship question off of the census and why? Why is the controversy wanting to know who among us happens to be a citizen and who isn't? Why is that controversial? It would seem to me that this kind of attention should have been asked when somebody in the Obama regime decided to get rid of it, because we all know why. They don't want non-citizens to be invisible. They want them, they do want them to be invisible. They don't want them to be counted as non-citizens for a political purpose. All of this, everything the left does, is political, and they couch it in compassion and concern and not wanting to target or single out anybody. My problem with all of this is that the American left today seems to have one major problem that is guiding every agenda item they have, and that is they don't like this country. They don't like this country as founded. They don't like this country's place in the world, and so they want to diminish us. They're too afraid of American superpower, American exceptionalism. But this idea of who's a citizen and who isn't, why did that question get taken off? That's where everybody's focus should have been. And I'll put this on the Republicans. Look at the way things happen. Obama takes the question off. The Republicans do what? Say nothing. Then the Democrats get back, and we want to put it back on President Trump because it's common sense. Put it back on. The Democrats fight, propose, oppose, make it hell on earth to try to get this done. And this is a great illustration of the difference in the two parties and how they operate politically. I think it's outrageous that the desire to know who here is a citizen is controversial.
Well, I don't know exactly when they did stop putting it on, but that certainly is what a lot of people are talking about.
2010 when President Obama, it's been on there from 1870 to 2010. Rush, will you elaborate a little bit?
Exactly my point. The controversy, who took it off and why. Look, we know the answer to this. It just needs to be explained to people. As far as people are concerned, wanting to find out who's here is the suspicious thing. Wanting to find out who among us is a citizen is now the suspicious or controversial thing. This is 180 degrees out of phase. It's wrong. And I applaud the president for trying to get this done. And I think by hook or by crook, he actually will get it done. He's focusing everybody's attention on it, which is the first thing you have to do to affect positive change.
Will you elaborate on how exactly this would affect elections? Why don't the Democrats want this on the census report? You said it's political. Will you elaborate on that?
Well, it's ultimately they want these people to be able to vote. The reason the Democrats want open borders, look, there's a lot going on with this. The first thing behind this is a globalist movement to eliminate the whole concept of citizenship. And look, I know that some of this is going to sound strange, but it really isn't. This is happening. They want to replace the concept of citizenship with residence. And these are global elites who want to manage the world and control as much of the population as they can.
My friends, let me stop right here. I don't know how long you've been listening to Real Truth. This August will be 11 years on the air. When I first started doing this show, I used to talk about the fact that there are globalists who want one world government. And so they're trying to damage America so that there won't be any more borders. Everyone will be a citizen of the world. And back in those days, 11 years ago, this was craziness. This was insanity. This is the wingnut. I used to refer to my listeners as the tinfoil hat brigade. Remember that? Well, we've come a long way in 11 years. A lot of so-called conspiracies have been shown to be fact, and this is chief among them. There are globalists. They want one world government. They want to do away with citizenship, as Rush Limbaugh just said. They want the borders to go down. They want everybody together because then the human race will be easier to control. Because the whole world will be a poverty-stricken third world area. That's what they want. And here's Rush Limbaugh, the king of radio, one of the most famous people in America, if not the world, an authoritative voice that the entire political structure listens to and learns from. He is saying exactly what I was saying years ago. It's fact. By the way, you'll read about that. Here's a plug in my book, Real Truth, Stay Angry. That's exactly the kind of stuff I talk about. Go to virtualbookworm.com. Go to barnesandnoble.com. Go to amazon.com. Real Truth, Stay Angry. It tells you exactly who's running the world and why and what they want and why it's dangerous for thee and me. Let's go back to Rush.
And the first thing you do,
Well, folks, listen to this. This is so important. The Democrats want a permanent underclass. And you know what? If they get power, if they get the White House and they get the Senate and they keep control of the Congress, there will be a permanent underclass, and you will be part of it.
people constantly in need, dependent, they need to create as many victims as they can, people hopeless, thinking the game is rigged, they have no chance because the deck is stacked against them. The Democrats are going to pave the way for them, going to protect them. And so they need as many of these people as they can get, people with no chance, no hope, and they become the champion. They need these people. They want them to vote. Right now, you have to be a citizen to vote, except in California. They want non-citizens to vote there. They're trying to make that happen. Keep an eye on California. It's the model for what the left wants the entire country to become.
That's also an essential point. Look at California. It's a basket case. Drowning in red ink, homeless people, crime, illegals, sanctuary cities, hopelessness and despair. It is a mess. That is what America will be like if the Democrats get power. America will be in the future just like California is now. Horrible.
But the whole question about politics here is
It's called biting the hand that feeds you. It's what happens when a child is spoiled. A spoiled child ends up despising the parent. And that's what's happening to idiots like Colin Kaepernick and that soccer player chick.
She just fed up with it. Why?
All right, guys, we don't need any more of that. Go to rushlimbaugh.com if you want to get one of these t-shirts. But the bottom line is this. We're about to go to commercial break. All those conspiracy theory about globalists who want to bring America down and have one world government. It's craziness, right? It's absolutely true. We'll be back.
Grandpa's Pawn and Gun, living on the lawn, in Colorado, since 1994. We specialize in guns and currently have 400 guns for sale. We also buy, sell, pawn, and trade for gold, silver, musical instruments, knives, archery equipment, laws, side-by-side, coins, and a lot more. We buy gun collections and dealer races. For smart trade purposes, should it buy the rights. We are more than 80 at Colorado, and the satisfying gun dealer. Because we have a lot more overhead than the big box stores, we can beat big box stores by $100 per gun. And we have the most interest rates in Northern Colorado, half of what the corporate stores charge if you're going to go. Come and see us at Grandpa's Pawn and Gun. We love guns. We love gold. Check us out on the web, www.grandpaspawn.com or 303-772-7952. Grandpa.
All right, guys, remember the Democrats saying for months, there is no crisis on the border. Trump's crazy. He's a racist. There's no crisis on the border. And they continued to say that right up until the moment they began to say, well, yeah, all right, well, there is a crisis. In other words, they don't mind lying if they think it will help. Well, here's a guy who's going to help set things straight. Senator Ted Cruz speaking on the floor of the U.S. Senate. This comes from C-SPAN 2, talking about what? The crisis at the southern border. The crisis that the Democrats not only won't lift a finger to fix, but are doing everything they can to make worse. Here's Ted Cruz.
Mr. President, I rise today to address one of the most pressing crises the American people face today. Our refusal to address the border crisis. Right now, Texas and other border states are being overwhelmed by thousands upon thousands of illegal immigrants.
Overwhelmed. Cloward Piven strategy. Remember? Overwhelming the machinery of government to slow it down, to break it down, to reduce everybody to poverty so we're more easily controlled, more at the beck and call of the government. Remember? Get as many third world people in here as possible. Gum up the works. Cloward Piven strategy. If you haven't looked it up yet, get busy right now. Let's go back to Ted Cruz.
Who are flooding into small communities monthly. Our inaction, the inaction of the United States Congress, leaves these communities responsible for paying for where these illegal immigrants will stay, for how they will receive medical care, and for where they will go when they are released. From Brownsville to McAllen, to Laredo, to Eagle Pass, to Del Rio, to El Paso, and beyond. Texas communities are at their breaking point in terms of resources and manpower in dealing with this crisis. I am hearing this.
They are at the breaking point, exactly as the Cloward Piven strategy calls for. That's the intent. To push American systems, any system, but talking about America, financial system, infrastructural system, government system, healthcare system, push it to the breaking point and then some. To break it down so that the revolutionaries can make changes that nobody wants, but we feel we need, because the system's broken down. That's what the Democrats are up to.
From elected officials throughout South Texas, Democrats and Republicans, the crisis has reached a breaking point. Our hardworking Border Patrol agents are also struggling with the enormous influx of illegal immigrants. It's been reported that there are now more illegal immigrants in custody than Border Patrol agents in the southern border. And thousands more being apprehended daily. Since last October, over 500,000 illegal immigrants have been apprehended at our southern border. Many of them having traveled through Mexico from El Salvador, from Honduras, and Guatemala. Over 200,000 of these illegal immigrants were single adults. Over 56,000 of them were unaccompanied children. During this time, the Border Patrol also apprehended nearly 700 gang members trying to illegally enter the United States. In the month of May alone, the Border Patrol apprehended over 144,000 people coming from the southern border. 144,000 from single adults. If that pace were to continue for a year, we would be looking at nearly 2 million apprehensions in just 1 year. It's a staggering number of illegal immigrants to Texas and other border states to take. Instead of acknowledging that this crisis exists, instead of feeling the responsibility of taking action, congressional Democrats instead stubbornly trying to open border fence. Speaker Pelosi has called hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants coming through our border a, quote, manufactured crisis. Some of our colleagues on the presidential side have called it a, quote, fake crisis. And, quote, fear-mongering of the worst kind.
So the Democrats are calling it a fake crisis. A make-believe fictional crisis doesn't really exist. which shows that they have no regard for your intelligence, you, the American citizen, the voter. They're willing to tell you bald-faced lies, confident in the fact that you're stupid enough to believe them. Well, I don't believe that you are stupid enough to believe anything. I think you're pretty sharp cookies out there. You know when you're being lied to. The next step is to do something about it. If an entire political party is lying to you, and they are, then tell them to screw off. Why would you ever support them?
Or have said that climate change is a more serious problem. All that I can tell you is the crisis at the border is very real, despite what the Democratic talking points say. Last week, I visited the Rio Grande Valley, as I have done many times in representing the state of Texas in the U.S. I toured the Rio Grande Valley centralized processing center, the largest integrated processing center in the United States. I also traveled to Baytown Village, which is ground zero for illegal border crossings near Mission, Texas. What I saw there, I was in the Rio Grande Valley, the RBV sector chief told me that in 2014, 5 years ago, roughly 2% of single-adult men crossing illegally in the Rio Grande Valley had a child. Today, that number is roughly 50%. 2% all the way up to 50%. Word is out among traffickers, among smugglers, among others seeking the illegal entry in the United States. Coming with a child is to get out of jail free card. According to the Border Patrol, family unit apprehensions have increased by 463% in the past year, with increases of 2,100% in El Paso.
My friends, let me interrupt because we're about to hit a commercial break. I had some idiot on Facebook saying that we should allow all the immigrants in because, after all, here's a picture of a crying child. How can you be so callous? That's the word that was used. How can you be so callous, Howard Real? And I wrote back to this guy, I'm not callous. I'm an adult. Feeling sorry for a crying child is no way to set national policy. Morons think like that. Liberals think like that. America can't afford to think like that. We've got to protect our border and control who comes into this country. If we don't, we're finished. And believe me, the planet Earth cannot survive an America that's finished. We'll be back.
Join us in Dublin this month at the Galvin County Store, number 1. Find out what the mainstream media doesn't want you to know. InfoWars, pro-America, pro-family, pro-freedom. We are rebooting 776. Exclusive reports, live coverage, information you won't find anywhere else. Come follow the news today. Stay informed by listening to KHNC 1360. The Alex Jones Show, KHNC, the heart of Boulder, Colorado. The Victory Trading Group is a different kind of gold. Cleaning up the industry for 21 years. Are you tired of the high pressure tactics, the constant phone calls? Are you done with the bait? You just want to be treated fairly with honesty and respect? That's exactly what you get when you call 800-951-0592. You have my word on it. I'm Jim Jacobs, CEO of the Victory Trading Group. Check us out online at allamericangold.com. Are you staring at the screen? Your lucky green yard is backyard for you. Don't think. What do you know is to be behind you? Don't let the people that come down see that. First gamers, landscaping, and access to visit our website, firstgamerslandscaping.com. We will get your garden construction. Specializing in maintenance and install of commercial methods of property. We pride ourselves on it. We Visit our website at our insult crew can transform your backyard into the outdoor living space of all the regions. Call me, Brian, at 970-460-CHURCH. We walk through and will give you and if you need. Family owned and locally operated. We have served North Colorado for 18 years. Thank you for your support and dedication.
All right, guys, we're going to stay on the border and that whole issue. By the way, Howard, real truth. We're going to talk about the border. Former ICE acting director Tom Homan was on Fox and Friends. He got into a war of words with House Democrats on Capitol Hill. And who wouldn't? Anyone who loves America must be at war with the Democrats in Congress who despise America. It's like nitro and glycerin getting together. Here's Tom Homan.
Let's bring in Tom Homan. There was a dark cloud.
That's it. That's the argument. Disagree with a Democrat, you're a racist. Enforce the law, you're a racist. Care about protecting Americans, you're a racist. Notice the Democrats never say, well, here's a good common sense logical argument for leaving an open border. They can't, because it's absolutely stupid to have an open border. So instead of using reason and logic, you're a racist. You hate these children because they don't look like you. That's garbage. It's garbage, and I don't blame Homan for getting angry. My friends, anytime you hear a Democrat say, you're a racist, you know that they've reached the end of their intellectual road. They have no more reason. They have no more logic, no more rationale. They know they've lost the argument. You know, it's like two people playing a game of chess. And the guy playing white sees that the guy, his opponent, who's playing black, is about to win. It's inevitable. And so he knocks over the chessboard. Oops, sorry. That's what the Democrats do when they start yelling racist. They realize they've lost the argument. They realize they never had a good argument to begin with. But you're a racist. That's supposed to shut things down. Well, you know what? Guys like Tom Homan and guys like Donald Trump and guys like me, when you say something like that to us, that's when the volume goes up, not down. That's when the fight begins. Children call each other names. And Democrats. Democrats will call you names. Because they're children. No more time to let the country be run by children. The stakes are too high. Yeah, that's what the hearing was all about. This is like the brave souls who tie someone up and then fight with them. These are like the brave military guys, the warriors who beat up women, defenseless women and children. That's what the Democrats were doing. They bring a guy like Homan up to sit in a chair so the cameras can see him, and then they insult him and they don't give him an opportunity to talk back. That's the brave Democrats. That's the open government Democrats. Those are, in reality, the cancer cells killing this country. Those are the cancer cells. Instead of going to work in the morning in Congress to help make America better, make Americans' lives easier, they go to try to further their own agenda, America be damned. Well, you know what? The Democrats be damned. They're the enemies of the United States of America, and we have got to turn them out of office. At all levels, federal, state, city. They're cancer cells in the body politic of this great country. Don't ever vote for a Democrat again. Now, we're going to take a break. We'll come back and we'll finish things up. I have posted all these videos on my Facebook page, Real Truth Radio. You'll find them there. Watch them, share them, learn from them. Let's bring this country back, shall we? Stick around.
Join us at the Gallup Channel, your number one field independent media. Find out what the mainstream media is pro-America, pro-family, pro-freedom. We are recruiting 776. Exclusive reports, live coverage, information you won't find anywhere else. Tomorrow's news today. Stay informed by listening to KHNC 1368. The Alex Jones Show, KHNC, the heart of Northern Colorado. My goal is about anywhere I can do the deal. The one thing you use the Patriots trading group 20 years ago, just like that. Ain't no trading better than just like that. Just like that. Just like that. Why? Just like that. Wonderful to go for baseball, the Patriots trading at 800-951-059. Why does it seem America is slowly sinking? Whose fault is it? It's not the Obama movement, a Republican or Democrat. It's not corporations, the military, or foreign countries. It's the Federal Reserve, central banking system made up of private bankers 1-800-951-0592 and keep those blood-sucking bankers out of your wallet.
Item from thecollegefix.com. What are the odds a feminist graduate student could be under siege for feminist rhetoric on a California campus? Under an intersectional framework and evolving definition of quote-unquote woman, much higher than you might expect. University of California, Santa Barbara doctoral students, alumni, and allies are demanding the administration take action against Laura Tanner, an outspoken critic of transgender ideology and doctoral candidate in its Department of Feminist Studies. Tanner's Twitter feed is dominated by discussions of transgender ideology's threat to women, including young lesbians. She believes that transgender women, biological males, are wrongly appropriating a female identity, unquote. Folks, transgender women, that is biological males, are wrongly appropriating everything. These are sick people, and they need treatment. They need support. They don't need enablers, and they don't need anything or anyone allowing them to carry on the delusion, and that's the technical word for it, delusion, that they somehow morphed into the opposite sex. Can't happen. Item from freebeacon.com. Freshman Representative Ilhan Omar, Democrat, Minnesota, on Saturday, questioned the patriotism of American-born citizens, claiming she, quote, probably loves this country more than anyone who is naturally born in the United States. Omar participated in the foreign policy panel at the liberal Netroots Nation conference in Philadelphia when she made her remark. Omar began her remarks by making light of her past anti-Semitic comments and the backlash that's resulted from them. Quote, something I get criticized for all the time. It's not what you think, so don't gasp, Omar said, prompting laughter from the panel and the audience. It's not that I'm anti-American because I criticize the United States, Omar said. I believe as an immigrant, I probably love this country more than anyone who's naturally born, and because I'm ashamed of it continuing to live in its hypocrisy, unquote. Folks, America should be ashamed that a piece of garbage like Ilhan Omar got elected. Item from the College Fix. A new book from a group of academics offering a, quote, dramatic intervention into the prevailing narrative surrounding transgenderism. In the book, Inventing Transgender Children and Young People, a collection of essays challenging the, quote-unquote, dangerous ideology taught in schools and universities, the authors warn of youngsters not being able to have children due to powerful sex change drugs, the consequences of not speaking out against transgender orthodoxy, and teens quickly being labeled transgender due to normal feelings of bodily discomfort. Contributors to the book include Oxford University's Michael Biggs, blah, 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 blah. Dr. David Bell, consultant psychiatrist at the Tavistock and Portman NHS Foundation Trust, said the large increase in the number of females seeking sex changes, quote, cannot be explained by individual factors alone, unquote, nor is the new atmosphere of feeling free to, quote, come out responsible. Folks, we can find out why it's happening later. Right now, it's destroying lives. Item from NBC News. Marissa Rivas never felt comfortable living as a woman, but doesn't identify as a man either. Last year, Rivas, 30, a college admissions coordinator in Los Angeles, had a mastectomy. This year, Rivas started using gender-neutral they and them pronouns. Then at the end of June, Rivas went to the Los Angeles LGBT Center in West Hollywood to talk to a doctor about going on low-dose testosterone, known colloquially as microdosing. Rivas hopes to achieve a sharper jawline and a more androgynous physique without overtly masculine features like facial hair. The goal is an appearance that's not clearly male or female, unquote. My friends, it's easy to laugh at people like this, but you know what? They're miserable, and they're not going to get any better until they get psychiatric help. I'll see you tomorrow with more Real Truth. Hasta luego.